Thousands of mourners gathered at Sydney's Bondi Beach to mark a week since two gunmen attacked a Jewish festival, killing 15 people.
You'll come and waltz in Matilda with me.
Waltzing Matilda was sung in honor of the youngest victim. The Ukrainian parents named their daughter after the Australian folk song as a tribute to the country where their family found safety. Several politicians were on hand, including Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, who was booed when his presence was acknowledged. The Australian government has vowed to enact policy to counter anti-Semitism following the mass shooting.
Crime was an attempt to marginalise and scatter, to intimidate and cause fear. But Jews have stood up to this intimidation for thousands of years, and so tonight, thanks to the Jewish community of Australia, on this last night of Hanukkah, you have reclaimed Bondi Beach for us.
We're obviously mourning, but we're getting stronger as a nation, and we're growing, and sometimes growing hurts, but we're growing and life is going to move on, and why not make the best of it?
Australia is holding a national day of reflection for the 15 murdered and dozens injured in last weekend's shooting at Bondi Beach. A nationwide minute of silence was observed at 6:45 p.m. to remember the moment the massacre unfolded. And joining us now to discuss Toronto's Jewish community and how they're reflecting on this tragic event is Councillor James Pasternak. Councillor Pasternak, thank you so much. And we're deeply sorry for what has happened to the Jewish community in Australia and, of course, around the world. Can you tell us how Toronto's Jewish community is coping with all of this?
Well, we share the pain, heartache, and sorrow and horror of what happened in Australia. And the sad part is that all the warning signs were there, and the leadership there was not prepared to take the decisive actions to stop the incitement and the harassment and the mobs on the streets. So it's a warning sign for Toronto. But I will say that as we lit the menorah in public squares and other public places this past week, it was attended by hundreds of people, and the message was, do not be intimidated. Go about your daily lives in peace and security and continue with your faith.
Last week I went to the Proserpine Jewish Community Center. I spoke to a number of community members there who say that they feel unsafe. Does this raise renewed concerns when it comes to the safety of Jewish people in Toronto?
Well, look, I mean, these mobs have been on the streets for over 2 years. They're inciting, they're making harassing comments, they're storming Jewish-owned stores. They come up into a neighborhood that I represent at Bathurst and Shepherd to harass the Jewish residents there. That would never be allowed in any other minority neighborhood. These are mostly illegal activities, and the rule of law has broken down, unfortunately. And, you know, Toronto seems to be walking towards a very dark place.
There was a command center at Bathurst and Shepherd, and following the attack, as well as police presence at the Jewish Community Center, as well as a number of synagogues. Is that enough for protection?
Well, what you need is to restore the rule of law. And when laws are broken, charges have to be laid. But not just laid, because police are doing what they can, but the judicial system has to pursue those charges and has to take them to the fullest extent. Unfortunately, a lot of the charges are being dropped, and this reduces confidence in our judicial system and our ability to keep our city safe. And it's also important to realize that when we take these resources away from traditional law enforcement issues and try and control the mobs on our street, it puts all Torontonians at risk for being the victims of various crimes. So everybody has to realize that these never-ending protests are costing us all and putting us all at risk.
Councillor, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate your insight into this. Councillor James Pasternak, thank you.
Yeah.